floor is yours.
Can everybody hear me? Check, check.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Okay. All right. Thanks so much for the opportunity to be here. This is tonight I'm going to be going over some information on AI that I've been working with to kind of encourage you to get in an AI first mindset. So I'm going to share some information on that. And you know, most businesses now are using AI in some form, and I think that a lot of them are expecting some level of skill or at least interest in that. So hopefully I can help with that to some degree. But we're definitely at an inflection point with AI now where it's going faster and faster, more and more businesses are getting involved with it. Let's see, Scott, I will. Let's get, okay, perfect. That's perfect. All right. So if you want to click through. Very nice. Okay, here's a little bit of background on me. And sorry about the slide presentation. I don't know exactly what's going on, but something with Zoom was not letting me share the screen. Maybe it has something to do with that AWS outage today. But a little bit about me, which I would love to share. I'm really... One moment. I think the guy about AI would know how to work his computer, wouldn't he?
That's not his, that's mine.
Oh, that's
Yes, Scott's.
okay.
We had to go to plan B. All right. Anyway, I'm spending most of my time now helping others make sense of AI. I was part of this group around 2019, 2020. Super grateful. These two guys were both there at this point, and I'll never forget that. Since then, I've been COO at a couple of companies. Over the course of my career, I've been a COO at 4 different companies in different verticals. First in marketing, then I was in software development, then in reverse logistics. Well, that means we were buying returns from Amazon. And then most recently, I was a COO of an engineering firm. But as of January of this year, I've started just completely focusing on AI. I was an early adopter of ChatGPT when it first came out, within about a month of when it came out in December of 2022. But since then, I've been to conferences, I've been to trainings, I've been to workshops, I've spoken. I had a big speaking engagement last week at a conference. But I've been sharing this information with a lot of different people because there is so much interest in it. I'm also a mentor at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, and I've done some classes at Vanderbilt, which I'm going to share with you so that you can also get some free Vanderbilt credits. This is a pretty fun trick. But lately I've been working with different models of AI, primarily ChatGPT and Gemini, but also just trying to keep up with everything. So I'm constantly doing these different events, reading books, listening to podcasts, newsletters every day with all the new stuff that's coming out. But it really is a full-time job right now, just keeping up with the rate of change. But I come at this more from an operations perspective because was what my roles were, not so much a technical background. So hang on one sec. I am so sorry. Last time this will happen.
It's a PDF.
So next slide, Scott. First, I've got 3 slides just quickly before we talk about AI, just to share in general. And a lot of it's stuff that I learned in this class. And I really appreciate the lessons here. One was during this time to stay present focused. I know I'm really bad about suffering an imagined future that never happened. I was never right about any of those, but really try to stay present focused during this time. I know that that can be a challenge. And also not looking backwards and having a lot of regrets about whatever might have caused this transition. Another is don't let your job status define you. So see yourself less as a job title and more as kind of what you do and contribute. Even when you describe what you do, is if you can help people understand that, it really shows the value versus the title. During this time, prioritize self-care. It's super important to get your sleep, get your nutrition, and be in community with others, because you don't want to burn out. If you push too hard and just trying to force something to happen, it could cause some stress. So physical and mental health is in order. I journaled a lot during this time, and that was also a good way to track progress. Also, I listened to a lot of music, and I realized I was listening to a lot of music that was not helping my mental state. So I kind of don't be listening to a lot of sad music. And surround yourself with positive people, because emotions are contagious. And I know sometimes it can be easy to kind of commiserate with others about a situation, but that's really not going to help. So be mindful of that. It might feel good in the moment, but I don't think it's going to be good long term. And I use every year I would look at my calendar, all the events during the year, and actually event by event, either put it in a positive or negative category. And that's kind of how I plan out, next. You could do that on a shorter term, but to really look at the interactions that you're having, the events that you're attending, the activities you're doing, and think about which ones are helping energize you, and which ones are maybe dragging you down. Also tap your network. They want to help you. They've been here, you've done favors for people. They are happy to do favors now. So, and I, went through every version of a network, from family to neighbors, to old coworkers, to old bosses, to every group like this that I could find in town. I was very regimented about doing that. And I treated finding a job as a job. I had a schedule. I got up a certain time. I try to stay on a schedule, still maintain a calendar, just like I'm at work, and schedule all my time. And also try to set goals associated with those different activities, and not just kind of maybe be, it's easy to measure if you actually put numbers on these goals about how many coffees do you want to have this week? How many networking meetings, networking events? How many applications do you want to put in? But actually quantify those so that you can see where you're getting traction and not. And the last one was extend kindness, because I know when I was looking, even if I couldn't help myself per se, if I could help somebody else make a connection or learn about an opportunity, that was energizing to me. And I really loved that part of it. But also volunteering, that was another good way to get out and extend kindness. So, and checking in with others, as Scott said, if you see somebody struggling, see if you could help out. Scott, next slide. But this is the last non-AI slide. But when I was looking, I thought there's going to be 3 different main ways that I might be able to find the next opportunity. And one of them was through headhunters. One was just through applying to jobs that I found on LinkedIn or other places. And the last one was networking. Well, far and away, the one that was most satisfying and most productive was the networking. So I would encourage you to focus on that one to the degree possible, because there's not even a comparison, but much better than the other 2 combined times 10 probably. And it was just a way to stay engaged and out in community. I had to keep reminding myself, I'm not going to find an opportunity, at home on my computer. So, the last one more slide, Scott. there was a book. Steve Woodruff was a guy I met through a networking group when I was in transition, and he wrote a book called The Point. And I felt like there was some really great strategy in there about encapsulating your message in a way that it's transferable. So if you have, if you come to a group or meet with someone and they say, well, what are you looking for? And you're like, oh, I could do anything. I could done this, I'll do that. I won't do anything. Well, when that person leaves, they probably can't even tell somebody what you do. They might randomly grab a couple of things, but they are going to pigeonhole you, whether you want to or not. So embrace the pigeonhole. Go ahead, and even though it seems limiting, like I don't want to just say I just do this, it's really important, I think, to have a message that somebody else could pass along to help you. Because otherwise, they're not going to, let's just be honest, most people are not listening that intently to your elevator pitch, and they'll grab a couple random things and share that, but that may not even be actually what you're looking for. And you can change your encapsulated message over time. But he talks about having a memory dart instead of an elevator pitch, where you would use something instead of saying like, I'm a marketing consultant who optimizes in digital presence. That's not going to stick quite as well as I help small businesses get found online, because it kind of encourages them to ask, well, how do you do that? Or tell me more about that. It's more interesting than kind of hearing the technical specifications of what your role might include. But anyway, I just want to share some of that because I know that those type things were super helpful to me when I was coming to this group, and maybe they'll be to you as well. So I first wanted to do a little survey here, just to kind of see where you guys are, and maybe I can even see online. But and there is absolutely no judgment around this, but I'm just curious if no right or wrong answers, but how many of you are using AI?
I built my first neural network in 1999, and I just founded an AI company, and I'm trying to land a gig to do computer vision technology. So I've got about 20 years of pretty deep, intense AI technology. I even did a project for the U.S. government and several other things, and I know about 20 different frameworks. So I know it pretty darn well. I also just got accepted into the AI master's program at UTK. Got no way to pay for it, but you know, faith.
Something will happen. That's great, Michael. Thanks for sharing that. How many of you using it daily? Okay, and is anybody doing custom GPTs or projects inside ChatGPT?
Yeah, of
Great.
course I already answered your question.
All right. And is anybody working with agents or workflows or automations?
Guy thought this is my in summarizing.
That's great.
Yeah.
I do too. This is it. That's awesome. Well, that kind of helps. And that's really very typical of what I'm seeing with other groups that I'm presenting to and speaking with, is there's really a pretty wide range from people that haven't really gotten started yet to people that are, quite advanced like Michael. But we are at a quantum leap moment right now. There's next slide. These were flip in succession. One more. And we're all really in a discovery phase about how AI is going to fit into our personal life and our work life. I personally think that in time, it's going to affect every aspect of our life. I feel like, and I'm not saying that because I want it to, I just feel like that's kind of where things are headed. But there's a new kind of literacy is emerging for us to learn how to work and communicate with AI and work alongside it. But imagine if you were alive, like when reading and writing first was invented, and you went around telling people that, you could use this new technology to use symbols to capture your ideas and thoughts and put them on paper. And these guys would probably be like, well, so what? I'm busy farming. What am I supposed to do with that? But of course, at that time, I don't think anybody could have realized how fundamentally that changed the cycle, the path of human history. And it even enabled what we're seeing today with AI. I mean, that couldn't have happened without written word. But I feel like we're at another inflection point that is that significant, right up there with capturing fire or invention of the wheel, or harnessing electricity, any of those type things. But it takes, just like reading and writing, it takes practice to get good at it. And really, there's only one way to do it, and that's with a more hands-on approach. But I think that the people that lean in now and learn how to use this technology are going to end up being ahead of the curve. So that's why I'm encouraging folks to do this. But there's no doubt that employees, organizations that are going to be successful going forward are going to find a way to leverage this technology. Next. Thank you. So you can treat AI as a writing assistant or a search engine, but it becomes truly powerful when you start using it as a thought partner. And what I mean by that is that you are the thought leader, but it's the thought partner. So you can start actually thinking of it like you're having a conversation with someone else. And of course, when you have a conversation, that doesn't mean that you just get the first answer that comes out of them and run on your way. You usually talk things through and refine and bounce ideas off each other. And it's the same kind of mentality about using AI if you really want to get the best out of it. So going through this iterative process of communicating, that's what I'd strongly encourage, because you're going to get much better results from it. And in time, the AI is kind of learning, because you can set some settings in here where it's starting to learn more about what you want and anticipate what you want. So you're getting closer to better answers right out of the gate. And I'm not suggesting that AI should just replace your thought. I'm saying that it should enhance your thought, right? It's not just ask it and it knows and there we go. Because it can make mistakes. And we'll talk a little bit about that too. But you can actually ask AI for multiple answers to questions. And then you can start to pick the parts of the multiple answers that you like and combine those in ways that we've never been able to do before. And that's when it gets really interesting. You can start to combine some things in real time, like, different aspects of ideas. So again, iterating is where the good stuff comes. But I've read a book from Jeff Woods called The AI-Driven Leader. He talked about actually putting a Post-it note on his computer at his house where he would start to get in more of an AI first mindset, so that he was asking himself this question multiple times a day about whatever you're working on, how could AI possibly help this? How could it possibly make it faster? How could it maybe make it better? How could it possibly eliminate you ever having to do it again? You might get an answer that could say, if you do this, you'll never have to do that again. But so how can AI help me do this? Just describe, even if you don't have to even have a hunch, you can tell it what you're working on and saying, how could you help me? And it will start to suggest ways that it could create an outline, come up with some other answers that you might be able to incorporate. But using that mindset, I've done some things that I never thought that I would be able to do. I've built a website. I've done some coding online, and I'm not a coder. I just did it by speaking English to the AI, and it is unbelievable. And I wish we had time where you could demonstrate some of this, but you can literally just get it in certain modes on the AI and speak, and it will start to generate code and create an app that actually works. And I've set up my own email server. I built a website. Created a working web app prototype of an AI-powered digital magazine. So it's a flip book that you can flip through, and there's a bot on the page, and it can summarize the page, or it can tell you more in depth about what is actually on the page if you wanted more information. But I think getting in that mindset is going to be good in general for saving time. And also, if you can save time at home with ordinary tasks, that gives you more time that you could possibly be spending on this transition. But getting in this mindset, I think, will also be very beneficial to your career. My daughter was just, she was interviewing in Birmingham for a position with a construction company, and they asked her about AI, and I think she was reluctant to share that she was using AI, but I told her, I think, honey, they're wanting to know that you use it all day, every day. Not that it's, I think some folks feel like, oh, it's like cheating or something, but people, these companies want to know that their staff is engaged with this. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Right, or you can ask, and we'll talk about that in a minute too, but you can ask the AI where it got the information, and then you can actually get the exact source, and then you can cite that and not have to cite AI. Because I don't know because we also can't get in a habit of saying AI did it. That's not,
Can you hear me now, Krista?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, do I need to repeat?
No.
Okay. Oh. For those online, I'm so sorry you couldn't hear. The comment was in colleges and universities today. I recently was in a graduate course at a local university, and the instructors and the administration presented to students about AI and their perspective on AI. Their concern is plagiarism, but they're not opposed to students utilizing AI. They just need for you to cite your sources, and it's still relatively new, but at least the colleges and universities are beginning to address AI and that sort of thing.
very good. So, got next slide. And some of these may be obvious or the sort of things you're already using, but here's some good everyday uses of summarizing and organizing materials. I've set up some custom GPTs or other GPTs that are available, but you can dump information into here and get really quick summaries. I use, as I said, ChatGPT, but also Gemini. Gemini, you can also pull links from YouTube and put it right in there and have it summarize things. So if you had an hour-long video and you could ask it, it'll show specific points. If you were asking about a certain topic, it'll show you where in the video you can go to and actually hear it, or you could just read the transcript of it. Organizing materials, this is, you can just have a few random ideas that you've taken, some notes, a few other ideas, give it to AI and tell it what you're trying to do, and it will come back with a very well-crafted organization and maybe the first step in a plan. But for me, it's the speed that it does it at, because it's just instant. I could look at my notes for some time and scribble and wonder where to start. Well, you get ideas immediately. If you don't like that one, just ask for another one, and you can get another direction. But for me, it's the getting started part that's so valuable.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
Christy, why don't you go ahead and ask your question?
My question was, well, I have an interview coming up, and I just at the first interview they talked about like what kind of things that this would work on. Put it into ChatGPT, and it's like, oh, do you want me to make something for your interview? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I was just wondering, do you recommend, making stuff like for an interview?
Yes, and I've got a slide in just a minute. We'll talk about that.
And what was the question about music production? Music.
Oh, yeah, that was for Austin. I didn't know what he meant. I was just curious about what he meant.
About music, I was just saying that listening to music, not about AI generated music.
Okay.
But I was just saying to be mindful of what kind of music you're listening to.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Drafting and researching, you can do deep research and generate 10 pages of, in just a few minutes, one of these AIs, you can put the company that you're interested in, the role, you can get very exhaustive reporting out of there, which is amazing. Stuff that would have cost a fortune and taken a long time to do in the past. And then use it for inspiration and creativity. Here's a couple of ideas you can, and I've done this as well, but you could have prompts like explain how an atom works in basketball terms. Or you can get anything explained as something that makes total sense to you. Or there's a shortcut now, you can use ELI5, which means explain like I'm 5, and then you can put anything after it, and it will explain like you're 5 years old. So, and it's going to use like playground analogies, swing sets, slides, sandboxes, friends, ball, whatever. But it's a really good way, because I did that with ELI5 quantum physics. And, you get an explanation that you can start to grasp of even really complex things. And then you can go from there. But that was something that I heard about just the other day.
I definitely use it every day to study math. If I have I like still for math physical books, but there's a hard concept like with linear algebra. I can take a picture of the page and keep making it dumb it down until I completely and fully understand it. And also, they've gotten really good at helping you study foreign languages. Like if you've got the advanced mode on, you can say, help me learn German. We're going to walk just through my day. You translate everything for me. And it is a wonderful way of studying.
It absolutely is. I mean, I really wonder if even college will be a thing in a few years, because you can pinpoint and specialize in almost anything you want now, and you can do it in real time. For somebody to get a curriculum together on even the AI training, it can't even begin to catch up. I can barely keep up day to day doing a presentation. There's no way that they could have a curriculum and have it administered in any relevant time frame to be able to teach some of this stuff. But yeah, this with these tools, we won't be able to say I'm not very creative much longer. Here's one of the uses that I've been doing a lot: transcription. So we're recording a lot of meetings that I'm in, either on phone calls, or if I go to presentations, I'll just turn my recording on, or if I'm on a Zoom, I'll turn it on and capture there's a voice memo on my iPhone, and I'm sure other phones have a similar thing. Capture that recording, it immediately transcribes it. So then I grab that transcription and put it into ChatGPT and ask for a summary. And I've given it a format that I prefer, but it would do this with anything, but it comes out with an executive summary, all the key points from the conversation, and then any action items. So that way it is so liberating, because you can have conversations with people on Zooms, on phone calls, and capture. I'll put the phone on speakerphone, and that way I can record it on my laptop. But there's a lot of different ways to record. Get that recording, put it into ChatGPT, get the summary. So then I can be fully present. I don't have to worry about writing things down, or if I'm going to miss anything, and you're going to capture all the details. And you can come back if the summary is too brief, just say, I want more details. I haven't been able to get it to do an actual word for word transcription, but you can do that, which is the voice memo on your phone. It'll pull it up. But this is great too. So now you got this summary document of your meeting or the conference that you went to. And there's so many things that you can do with that. I can do a LinkedIn post, because I've got a GPT set up, and I can put some talking points that I want to make reference to, or things that I thought were impactful, feed that in there along with the transcript, and it can pull some more facts out to supplement that. And then you can, again, in just a few minutes, have a really powerful, lot better than I could generate on my own post that we could put up. Or I'll put those notes back into ChatGPT, use voice mode when I'm driving to a meeting, and then it can, on the way there, remind me of everything we talked about last time. So I'm talking to ChatGPT, just like a rehash of the meeting we had. And then I can also say, well, is there any news items or anything that's happened recently about the person I'm going to meet with, the company I'm meeting with, the industry that they're in, so that when I get there, it's like I've already had the conversation. And now I've got, very up to the minute news that I might say, oh, I heard that you guys acquired another company, or I heard you're building another plant, or whatever it might be. But you can pull up to the minute news items out of it on the way. This is another using voice mode. So you can take your resume, take the job description out of ChatGPT, put it into ChatGPT, and tell it that you want to be interviewed. Go ahead and ask me questions one at a time that I might hear to practice. So it can see your resume, and then it can see the job description, and it will even rate your answers. Make sure to ask one at a time, but it'll then say rate every one of the answers and tell me why. And then you might get a 3 out of 5 because you failed to mention some things that were in your resume that would have been relevant, or maybe your just answer wasn't that robust, but you'll get real-time feedback by doing this exercise. There's another thing that I was going to mention. If LinkedIn Learning is a resource that it's normally a paid subscription. You can get, if you go to the Nashville Public Library, you can get a membership and you can get access to LinkedIn Learning. And anybody, it's not illegal or anything. People that are in Franklin and Brentwood can also get a Nashville Public Library access and use this resource. I personally think that using the GPTs or using the AI is better. And I don't know how many people are using the voice mode on here, but it's gotten very realistic and it's only getting more realistic. So I make good use of that.
So just to make sure I understood you correctly, you said the national, you said the National Public Library, you can get LinkedIn Learning for free,
Yes.
but are you saying that it's better to do ChatGPT over that?
Well, you could use that for the learning part, but it also has a mock interview portion of it where you can practice. But I think that ChatGPT is way better. I heard this and it was like AI from 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, because the voice mode on these are super interactive now. And it really is, it gives you great practice to actually say it. I know it's one thing to sort of study and look and review, but another to say it. The ACT communication, this is a prompting technique. So AI and communication is fundamental, just like in relationships, the same with using AI. And if you're not getting results that are pretty frequently wowing you or really impressive, it probably has something to do with how you're communicating with it. And you don't have to always do these, but this is a good thing to keep in mind, because if you just say, make this better, it doesn't necessarily know how to make it better. But you could have an act as where you give it a role to play and then say you're a career coach or you're a financial advisor or you're you can give it any specific role, as even down to saying that you're a career counselor in Nashville, Tennessee that specializes in placements in marketing. But so you can get as specific as you want, and that way the AI has some perspective when it's answering your question. The other is context. So any kind of relevant background information that you can give it would be helpful about your career, your experience. Your resume could be some context. Some more context could be their job description. Anything else that might be helpful to the AI. I wouldn't dump the kitchen sink in there, because when you start to get too much context, like just everything on your desktop, there might be something in here. You start to possibly introduce some information that's conflicting, which that probably increases the likelihood of getting some hallucinations, which are bad answers out of the AI. So just make sure that the information you're giving it is relevant, and you're not just like, here, I'll just throw everything and then let it figure it out.
Yeah, one of the hacks that I use, because I'm I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but one of my hacks, because I'm extremely lazy, is I'll give it the general goal of what I'm trying to do and tell it to use the ACTQ framework or another framework and build it out. And then I'll take and look and see how close it got and adjust it. But it saves some typing and also can generate some ideas. But it's like
Exactly. And so tell it exactly what you're expecting to get back as far as, do you want bullet points? Do you want a narrative? Do you want a long, detailed answer? Do you just want a summary? Just be specific in what you're expecting to get back, because otherwise you're relying on it to guess what you get back. So all of these, again, the more of these that you use, the better your answer is going to be. And the last one that I think is really kind of the magic part is questions, which is have the AI ask you questions before it responds to make sure that you're both on the same page. And tell it to ask you 3 questions to refine your request before it works on it. And ask it to, again, one at a time, because it will, if you say ask 10 questions, it will ask all 10 at once. But even if you don't respond to them, it's still going to provide you an answer. But that really can make sure that you're kind of in alignment on what you want it to do, the context in the background, who the audience is for. Like, why are you even asking the question? Is this just for you, or is this to share with someone else? Or so the more information you can give it, the better the answers will be. And there is a cool trick, Scott. There's a resource called promptcowboy.ai, which it looks like this. So here's your lazy prompt. I have redo my LinkedIn thing. But then it will come up with a great prompt. And then it, again, is asking some questions to further refine this great prompt. But it'll come out with a 3-paragraph prompt. You can pull that out, put it into ChatGPT or Gemini, get a much better answer. But just going through that process shows you that logic, and it's a good way to practice. Deep research, we mentioned before, but you can, through the free versions of ChatGPT and Gemini, you can click on the dialog box in the little tools section, and you can pull down deep research, and it will usually ask you one refining question before you go. But you could say, you can compare vendors on something, just throw the result, the estimates that maybe they have, the quotes, and then compare the quotes to see which one's the best, but also which company's the best, and even maybe which of their parent companies is the best. I've recently did this with an insurance company and compared the quotes and compared the national carriers and are they paying claims, and then also the local agents that I would be, my current one and the one I was considering. And it came back with all these Better Business Bureau and AM Best ratings for who's paying claims, who's not. But that's very valuable comparison. And again, it would have taken me a week to compile all that. And everything is cited in there. You can click through to see exactly where the information is coming from. And then once I ran it through ChatGPT, I took the same question and gave it to Gemini, and then compared results. Both of them ended up in the same place, that I should switch carriers, and here's why. Kind of go a little quick. Updating your LinkedIn profile. Of course, you can, I don't know if anybody's done this, but you can go through, I would suggest section by section to kind of refine, because if you, I've tried dumping my whole resume and it's too much. But you can do it in kind of manageable hunks. But again, you can tell it how long you want each section to be, what accomplishments you want to highlight. So it can work with that. But that's a really good one. And there's some, I can share this slide deck with you guys too. Here's a suggested prompt, and it talks about key accomplishments and skill set and et cetera, et cetera. But you could really fine tune that. Obviously, you can do the same thing with a resume you're submitting for any particular role. You could take your current resume, take the role that you're applying to, and tell it to find all the things in your actual experience that would be applicable to this and highlight those in your resume. And you could actually craft a new resume. I would suggest having multiple resumes anyway for different roles. Maybe one's a little more marketing, maybe one's a little more sales, maybe one's a little more management. whatever different aspects of your role, because you're not just one role. You could play any of your experiences in different ways to maybe be more attractive for different roles. This was I was going to demonstrate this, but so Nano Banana is the image generator that's inside of Gemini. And this is free, the most powerful image generation tool I've ever seen. And I was in the business where we did a lot of this for years. But you can take if you just have a decent daytime clear shot, put it in there, tell it that you want it to make a high quality headshot for your LinkedIn profile, and replace the background with the cityscape, and put me in a studio. Sorry, guys. And put me in a suit. It will do it unbelievably. And I always put the prompt in there, don't redraw me, because sometimes it will redraw you. It's like, that's somebody that looks like other people might think it's me, but that's not me. But if you give it that detail, you can get some really cool images out. I mean, it's unbelievable. But you can, all the images in this slide deck I generated by just giving prompts to Gemini, and it created every one of these images. But here's another trick. I mean, even if you don't remember what I'm talking about specifically, just ask AI and it will tell you, say, this is what I'm trying to do. How can you do it? Write me a prompt that will do this. And it will generate the prompt, and then you can paste it back in. It's its own user's manual. So you could say, I want to do this, and what should I say? So don't worry about, remembering any phrase that I spoke. It will reiterate all this to you. Here's a fun one. So who wants some free Vanderbilt credits on their LinkedIn profiles? So I signed up for the free Coursera course. You get a 7-day free trial. And then I was scurried over to, there's a couple of classes here that Jules White taught. He's one of the premier guys in Nashville and in the world probably for teaching. Here's 2 courses. Each one of these has 3 modules. I managed to do all 6 of them in a week, but you could easily do one of these in maybe a day and a half, 2 days. You can speed it up if some of it, if you're already at a more advanced level, you can go through it faster. And there's periodic little reviews, but secret, they're not actually graded. But it's a great opportunity to learn how to use AI, to get some real instruction for free. And then at the end, I ended up with 6 Vanderbilt logos on my LinkedIn page. And it didn't cost me a penny. It took about a day and a half worth of time. So I highly encourage you, because you can get the training, you can get the credentials, and you can put a LinkedIn post and say, hey, I just completed this Vanderbilt course, and they are Vanderbilt courses. It says on there, they're through Vanderbilt. So it's not cheating or anything, but I thought, wow, that's, especially in Nashville, to be able to have some Vandy credits. And because people that read this just say, wow, he's really taking some initiative. He's gone to Vanderbilt for AI. It's unbelievable. And if you want to get more of them, it's $50 a month. And there's other schools on there too, other prestigious schools. I kept it local because I thought I would get the most bang out of Vanderbilt.
Can you spell the sign up for cursors?
Coursera.
Coursera.
Yeah, and I can, can I get a package together of stuff and share? Because I've got a link to it as well. At the end, you can contact me and I will send you everything you need.
Okay.
All right. So will that work?
You're taking it through Coursera, and then afterwards there. Oh. So just so I understand this, you're signing up for Coursera, you take those courses that you've recommended, And the courses themselves are already labeled as Vanderbilt. So
Yep.
then when you get I completed this,
Yes.
it says Vanderbilt. on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it'll say, you'll get a little LinkedIn thing that says, I completed this course, and you can post, and then everybody's going to go, wow, it's, and you can even sort of tweak the titles of the courses when they appear in your LinkedIn. So, because some of them are something like getting the most out of free ChatGPT tools or something, but I
Oh.
think I've put something more like getting the best out of ChatGPT tools. Or
I
don't
see.
know. So-
Yeah. No, that's,
So, but it was very informative. He's a great teacher. But that to me is like a real secret that would help. But again, I can, at the end, I've got a QR code. You can get in touch with me and I'll send you whatever from tonight you want. But really the best way, there's really not a shortcut for this. You can read about it. You can watch videos. You can watch TikTok. You can ask your friends. There's really not a substitute for actually hands-on experience with it. So I really encourage you to make some time in your day, go play with it, because it's not hard. It's not technical, but you just have to kind of get in the right mindset of learning how to interact with it. And just remember, you can always ask it, say, you're not doing what I want you to do. I want you to do this, but you're not. Just tell it that, and it will correct. It's amazing. There's also some podcasts, and I can share this when I put this information together, that I listen to daily that have news and all kinds of information to really keep up with what's going on.
So who exactly created AI?
I don't know. You might have to ask Michael about that.
The GPT specifically, or other things. The GPTs actually can be traced back to what's called Markov models, which were invented in 1906, and there's a very long history. And
It has been around a long time. Some of this technology,
distributed intelligent agents have been around since the 60s with a book called The Society of Mind, an MIT professor. Neural networks have existed probably since like the 70s. So yeah, it's got a long history.
well, I know that we're short on time because we
Thank you.
right. Well, we can do this, and then if we have time, we can answer some questions. But Scott, on the next slide, there's a QR code, and one more. This is a QR code to my website, and there's a way to email me there, and there you can connect with me on LinkedIn there. But just hit me up there, and I will send you the slide deck. I'll send you a whole grab bag of AI stuff, this Coursera links, everything I can think of. And if there's something that else that you want, but also look through my contacts. If you see somebody in there that you are interested in connecting with, let me know, and I will make an introduction. Because you never know what's going to be out there, but use me as a resource also.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take you up on that.
Here, I've got business cards too. I've got a box of business cards. And we'll do those. Well, I can't. I don't know. I was trying to cut at 8, but we could do some Q&A.
Back to this slide.
And I got business cards too. So what do we want to do, Jay? Keep.
Yeah. Is there a question?
All right. Remember, I'm coming at this from a user point of view, not a technical. So you can ask Michael. Obviously, knows a lot more about. I just kind of intrigued with how to actually use it, either at work or at home.
it sounded like you were about to mention a podcast. that
Yeah.
you liked.
There's a couple of podcasts that I listen to almost every day, and I'll include that in this information also. One of them's called AI Daily Brief, and these are available on Apple, or I'm on Spotify. That's where I'll listen to them. I usually listen to podcasts when I go run. So AI Daily Brief is really good about industry news. It's a little bit higher level, maybe a little more technical, but still interesting. And about industry trends and who's bought who in AI and who's making their own chips. But the other one is called Everyday AI. And that's one that I listen to every day too, because they actually do more demos of stuff. And he's like, here's how to use this tool, or here's how to use that tool. Because when I'm running back to the house because I want to get home and try whatever he was just talking about. He's like, you can just say this or do this or use that. And he's really typically focused on ChatGPT and Gemini. He'll talk about some others sometimes, but Gemini there's about 450 million users a week right now. ChatGPT has about 800 million users a week, and it's more than double all of the other majors put together. That's not to say that it'll always be there, but right now it is. I do think Gemini is making great gains. I'm personally starting to lean a little more toward Gemini because there's so many other, it's all in that Google, everything's connected. Makes it really easy because I'm on Gmail. I guess a lot of others are as well. So they make it really easy to use a lot of other tools.
Does Gemini integrate in with
Yep. Yeah, it works in
with sheets and pages and
yes, all the
yeah,
and now
all
there's
of the
AI
productivity tools.
actually in Excel and in Google Sheets. So you can do something crazy like I asked the other day, I got like 10 restaurants in Nashville and put those on a Google Sheet. Well, then I can go the next cell over and you can actually just speak into, you can click on the cell and put a function. I think it's equals AI open parentheses. And with the mic, you can say, I want you to get the address from the cell next to this. Close paren, and it will write the formula. And then you just drag that box down and every cell, it'll populate the addresses for all the restaurants.
Yeah, you mentioned the coding.
Yeah.
You mentioned the coding also. Let me give you a real world example. When I first did my startup, my estimate to get us to the MVP and the team I would need was $2.5 million. 7 months later, that had dropped down to $225,000 because I basically had a robot team of developers at my disposal.
And that is happening in a lot of because some of the things I'm learning now, I'm wondering if I need to learn. I know I don't want to slow anybody down, but I'm seeing this move so fast that if I spend a ton of time learning how to set up an agent, I wouldn't be surprised if 3 or 6 months from now, you can just utter it to ChatGPT and it'll build the agent for you. That's how these things are kind of moving that quickly. And so I've also been encouraging a lot of businesses maybe to not do capital intensive things right now, because just to create a custom GPT, which is a sort of a one purpose GPT, which is super easy to do. Just go ask it. Go into ChatGPT and say, how do you do it? You have to be on the paid version to do a custom GPT, but you can pick some out and it will walk you through doing that. But say if you had a transcription summary GPT, so I just throw my transcriptions in there, it already knows its job is just to make these summaries and make them in this certain format. But just to have that technology, companies paid millions of dollars a couple of years ago, and now you can do it for free.
There's a question on here.
Yes.
Can you talk about the difference between version?
There's, again, I would focus on, and my kind of encouragement is to get deeper knowledge on a few tools instead of all the hundreds of tools that come out, honestly, like every week. It's insane how many tools come out, but get basic understanding of like ChatGPT or Gemini. Just pick whichever one works best for you. There's free versions and there's the $20 a month version for each of these. They usually, most of the functionality is the same between them. Some of them you have to pay to get to, but even the free ones you'll usually have a version of it. It may be a little more watered down, or you may only be able to do 5 a month, or it may be more limited, but usually the functionality is still there in some form.
So one of the things I always like to consider too is before I left my last job, my company had a policy for like generative AI ethical policy.
Yep.
And so I know that there have been some things that have kind of come through that with regards to students being accused of plagiarism and not actually being plagiarized. So just kind of a little caveat, everyone's got to make sure that because sometimes bias can be built into these things to the extent of your output. You got to double check and make sure it's working as intended. So just there's that little
Absolutely.
caveat
Well,
there.
you know, it's built on the average of all the knowledge that's out there. So just like in the world, there's bias. Well, there's also bias in these because it was trained on all the things that it read.
Okay, question. With all the new AI tools out here, and we're starting to see the shift, companies that used to spend a lot of money, now we can access this for free. Are you seeing some transitioning or some changes in the workforce where what we used to be hired for is no longer relevant, kind of like the typewriter? And now we've got more of a demand or target over here to hire a workforce. So what would that workforce be transitioning towards?
Well, you know, and I don't know the future either, but I really do think that people are going to have AI skills going forward to be employable. I think now a lot of the trades, you can't replace a plumber or electrician with AI, or AI is not going to dig a ditch or run a tractor. Maybe it could, but
That's all the traffic out on the roadway right now is all the contractors, electricians, plumbers.
we got Waymo cars over in East Nashville too. But I just think that being up to speed with this and getting as fluent as you can, because it can save so much time at home too, with budgeting, with menu planning. It's crazy what you can just say, plan me a week's worth of meals. I've got a family of 4. I've got, you know, my daughter only eats beige food, and my other daughter only eats meat or whatever, and my husband's gluten-free. And so put all this in there, and I only want to spend, you know, $300 a week, 400, whatever it is. Plan the menu and where I can roll over all the leftovers into the next day, and it'll come out with a whole week's worth of stuff. And then you can say, well, we don't like cauliflower, replace that one. So it will come out with something that's manageable. Now give me all the recipes. Now give me all the cooking instructions. Now shopping list in the order that I'm going to see it at the Brentwood Kroger, because it knows how you're going to see the produce first and the frozen, whatever the order is. So put it in the order that I'm going to see it in Publix or wherever you shop.
That's going to put easymeals.com out of business.
Yeah, it's hard to say where it's all headed, but I kind of like a better a devil known. It's kind of my mentality about it's almost like and I know that there's all kinds of concerns about the environment and other issues, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to say, well, I'm not, it would be a little like, I'm not going to use a cell phone, or I'm not going to get on the internet, or I'm not going to do email just on principle. I don't know if you can function very well.
With AI being so global, is the United States kind of coming in with the regulatory agency, or is there talk of one?
Europe is much more regulated than the US now. And because of the, I think that they actually are probably more comfortable with AI, because I think what you're seeing now is a lot more fear in the United States about job replacement and other things, because it is a little more like the Wild West here, but that's by design from the executive orders that came out, which basically took all the stops out and no oversight, do whatever you want, just get there faster than the other guys, because it is truly this race for AI and that supremacy and domination. I mean, the US is firmly in that spot now, but it's not only for commerce, but it's for national security now too. I mean, if China leapfrogged us, it could be big trouble.
Well, the CEO of, I believe it's LSI Incorporated, she did an interview on CNBC and said AI is like the next internet revolution in this country.
Oh, yeah.
So we can't ignore it.
You can't ignore it. And even now, some of the podcasts I'm listening to, they're saying, people, we can't say AI powered everything. That's like saying internet powered. I mean, it's just given that AI is part of it. If it's not, and the companies that aren't there now or feel like that's an actual feature are probably misguided, because you can't really sell on that. You have to assume, your clients are assuming that you're doing the most efficient thing possible, which is using some form of AI.
Anything else? Chat? Nope, no more in the chat. Cool.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about the tech difficulties.
No worries. Yeah.
But please do
Believing in it.
reach out and I will hook you up with everything I've got. Yeah, I've got cards.
There. Yeah. Does it have a QR on it?
It.
Hey, thank you very much, Carlton. This was an incredible meeting.
Yeah, contribution.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Reach out now. I need to grab that.
Oh, okay. No, I have to search your name. I already have a letter. Yeah.
I just put my email address in the chat too, if anybody wants to do like deep dives on the technology or math.
Please look at those in here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Please reach out. I'll share everything I got. I might call or hit that manager tomorrow. So that's what I should do, right? Yep. You said after a couple weeks, I might email the other guy if I maybe haven't. Oh, go ahead and email him now. No. Email him? Right, oh, that's right, you already emailed them, you said 10 days ago? Friday to. See what she says, see what the branch manager says.
Also, I think interview tomorrow, and I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Make sure I don't screw it up again, that's all.
I'll pull this for you.
Please, thank you so much.
See, once I'm playing it, I know I'm sure that I can be here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. You can use that summary for other. Is you interview or you actually do?
He would like talk to him. I mean, it's always
All right, no.
That's a different subject on transition. Maybe we can talk about
Maybe.
people with transition.
Yeah, I'll be there this Thursday. Good. Traveling next week. Good. All right. All right. Call. Yes. Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll take.
I'll send
Okay.
Once you what else you crowd, if podcast is like that.
They're not all in the box now.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
All right.
Christie, are you still there?
I can get a podcast for if you want.
Yeah.
All right. Austin, hang on a second. Austin, or not Austin, Carlton, I'm sorry, real quick. Can you answer this question? I put her off a little bit ago.
Okay.
She wants to know about using a presentation, ChatGPT, hang on, it says, recommend working with ChatGPT to bring a presentation to an interview.
She wants a recommendation for.
So you want to bring the presentation to the interview? Is that what you're saying, Christy?
Well, I don't even know if I'd be able to get it done in time, but ChatGPT is like, oh, do you want me to make this or make something for you for your interview, you know? And I mean, I'm going through like Power BI dashboard stuff or, you know, anyway,
Would it be a slide deck of your experience?
I would use your time to use AI to go through questions and have you answering the questions and speaking the answers out loud.
That's a good idea. Okay, thank you.
That and that versus some type of document, because it probably won't keep the document other than your resume.
Right. Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Being patient with me.
Bye, no worries.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
So sorry I interrupted.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
no problem.